Savage Grind Podcast. My main man Danny Pessy's on here. You guys are gonna really enjoy this one. So you and I, we've met a couple of years back, right? 3-4 years ago at the 10X conference, and here we are, full circle. 4 years later, coming back. You're blowing it up. You got your Knockstars University kicking off. I know I placed my order for my knock cars. I can't wait to get them. So look at them bad boys. Woo! What made you come up with this concept, right? Like I think it's super cool. You know, in the door-to-door space, you know, we're really big into self-development, continuing training, and this is the first time I've ever seen anything like that. What made you come up with that concept to put objections on a card? And well, tell us about yourself, like how long you've been in the space and who's Danny Pessy. Like you're like this personality into the door-to-door space, and like everywhere you go, people know you. You're like flamboyant. You created this character, right? So I love it, and I look, because it's like you got to stand out, right? And I think you've done a phenomenal job of doing that.
Yeah, man. Well, dude, thanks for having me on, bro. I've been a big fan of yours.
Yeah.
So funny story about this Savage. I was at 10X Con in 2017, and I was walking into the event, and I see some guy handing stuff out. I'm like, dude, what the hell is this? Oh, free shit. I love free stuff. So I go up to the guy, and I grab a notebook. I'm like, oh, Savage Grind. I said, see you later. So, you know, long story short, I wrote in that book for a few years, and I carried it along with me. I'd go to seminars with it. And I started writing in it, and I was like, oh, I wonder what happened to that guy. And then I think like a year ago, I looked you up on Instagram. I'm like, oh, shit, he does roofing. Okay, I kind of wondered what it was. I wasn't really sure. And then I saw that you were doing roofing, and then, you know, started following, and I found out that you were going to Door-to-Door Con.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, dude, I got to meet this guy. So finally met you again a few years later. I don't think you remembered when you handed it to me. Obviously, you had a bunch, but I was like, dude, that's so funny. Years later, I have the notebook. I used it, and I showed him. I brought it to Door-to-Door Con to show him. That wasn't full of crap. And then he got me a brand new one. So, dude, I appreciate it, bro.
Heck yeah, you got the new.
Like that. Never know how they affect people, you know?
Yeah, the 2021 version with the added calendar space in there. So, yeah, man, it's a great tool, man. Love it. But you've man, you got a big influence on the space, man. So tell us about, you know, who you are, how long you've been in the space, what's your specialty, what's your niche, and what you're doing right now.
Yeah, so the door-to-door is huge, right? It spreads out over multiple industries and multiple niches. And so I come from the Utah door-to-door. So the RM, return missionary, that's the time.
Oh, snap. I love it.
Yeah. So that's the style of door knocking that I did. It was an RM job, return missionary. So what happened is the LDS church would send out these guys, their students to go out, and members of their church when they hit 19 to go out on a 2-year mission. And so what they did is they, as soon as they get home from their mission, they enjoyed the door-to-door side of things. So they put together a program specifically for college students while they were going to BYU to make enough money during the summer that they wouldn't have to work during the year. So it would be a summer model of sales. And so that's what I got in. And I got a retainer. Just got my faces off. So
look at that girl. Look at sexy. Awesome.
Yeah. 2.5 years. But finally got them off. But yeah, so what they would do is they'd come back from their mission, they'd go to BYU, and then they'd get out of school at around April 20th, and then they'd have the full summer to go off and do whatever. But so back in the day, back in the mid 90s, pest control got really, really big. And so what these guys would do is they'd go get pest control contracts with companies, and then they would go out and they would hire these return missionaries to work during a summer. And these guys would make enough money during the summer to, not have to work during the school year, so they could pay off their college loans. And then as soon as they got into college, they would be able to, or as soon as they got out of college, they'd be pretty much debt free and go into the workforce. And so that was the model that came out of Utah. So you'd get a lot of guys that come in, grind super hard during the summer, and then after college, they'd pretty much be done. So that's what I got into the job. My buddy went to the University of Utah back in 2008, and he came back during winter vacation and told me about the job. And I didn't have a job at the time. I was 18, just got out of high school. So I was like, dude, you could make some good money during the summer. And that's how I got into it. So back on the history from the mid to late 90s, pest control was really big. Then in the early 2000s, late 1990s, alarms came into play. So where guys would come in and they finally made a deal with alarm companies where they would take care of all the upfront charges for equipment, and then the customer would just sign a 3-year contract or a 5-year contract, and then the companies would make their money back over a long period of time. So it started off with pest, then it went to security, and security started ramping up really, really big in 2006 to 2010. That's when the peak of security, that's where, that it was the peak of the door-to-door side.
So you got over 2 decades of D2D experience.
Dude, well, no, I trust me. I started in 2008. So I didn't start in 96. I'm only 30. I was back then.
Nice.
But yeah, no. So what happened was after the pest control's always been going good. Satellite came into around 2004 to 2012, 13, 14. Satellites kind of died out. And so a lot of guys have transitioned into solar, or some into alarms and some into pest. And so those were kind of the big three. It was home security, it was pest control, and it was satellites. And so those are the three things that dominated. Alarms was the highest paying. Pest control was the easier sale, but you had to sell a lot more because the commissions were much lower, and satellite was a healthy medium between the two.
Nice.
And obviously, the trending where the market's at, no one really gets satellites anymore.
Right.
So it's all gone to internet. And so ideally, when that started happening, 2012, 2013, 2014, that's when you saw the introduction of solar. And so that's when a lot of the guys from Utah went from solar, or from, those industries, to diving into solar. And solar got really hot at the beginning, and then it kind of fizzled out, and not really fizzled out, but it kind of, it wasn't as the hype. The alarms was still the big thing going. Vivint was pushing super hard. And then in the last 2 or 3 years, solar's really taken off. Because with a lot of these satellite guys, the industry kind of burned out. So they're looking to pivot to alarms or security. So solar has been the biggest because you get the tax credit. And not only that, but alarms for smaller companies, a lot of these smaller alarm companies went out of business. So there was just the big players like Vivint. Safe Home is now one of the bigger players. They were always super small back in the day. They've grown a lot. And then you got Skyline. You've got who else is out there that's a player these days still? Northstar, smaller scale, AMP. So there's a lot of these. There was like 20 or 30 companies back in the day. A lot of them went out of business, and now it's a lot smaller of an industry. And then you got these super small mom and pop shops like Titanium, the company that I work for currently. They do home security and solar. And so
nice.
Vivint and ADT, obviously everybody knows ADT, but they don't really have a huge door-to-door summer program. They're more of like the big corporate model. They've got a couple small dealers that go out and perform that, kind of like Safe Streets and stuff like that. But without getting too long-winded, that's kind of the background on the Utah side.
So you're brought up in the Mecca and the elite door-to-door space. I never knew of Utah till this past maybe a year. Getting introduced to Sam Tagger. Shout out to Sam and D2D experts over there. Taking a trip out there, and I had no idea that this was the place to be if you're in a door-to-door space. At least if you want to learn and get the new cutting edge, innovative, just perfect your craft. And you're from that, so you definitely have the background, the credentials.
Yeah. So I mean, I've done my fair share of production, and so with me, I've always wanted to be able to come from a place that if I'm going to teach somebody, a Vivint's door-to-door is more of a show me, don't tell me.
Yeah.
And so kind of my claim to fame is I've averaged 300 alarms for 10 years straight. Wow. And so in home security, that's like the top 1%. And so a lot of guys will do that 1 or 2 years and then they'll fizzle out. And so for me, I was able to average that for 10 years. And that's comparative to pest control. I think that's 1,000 accounts a year on average. And I'm not sure about roofing. I'm just got
Solar?
introduced to
What do you think of
solar. It's equivalent to probably
250?
no, not 250. It's probably like 150 solar accounts, maybe 100 to 150. It's hard to really gauge that, but
Right.
it's definitely it was a feat, and it's costed a lot, and I've sacrificed a lot to get there, and I've learned a ton. And so
Yeah.
the reason I started this consulting, because I was in a really good spot, because in the Utah space, the best company is Vivint, hands down. And so why they're so good is because of the training, the systems, because to kind of give you a comparison, the average alarm company a year does 3,000 to 5,000 accounts as a company. Last year, Vivint did 350,000.
Wow.
So they are just like the monsters in the space. They destroy it. And I loved working at Vivint. It was probably the best. I was almost there for a decade. And
Wow.
I was always in their top 1% sales reps. And so I've loved working from there. I've learned a ton. And then eventually it got to the point where I worked long enough where I got equity in the company, and the company sold. I got a nice little buyout, and I went independent. So I'm working for a small independent solar security company here, where me and the owner, Josh Sutherland, I'm pretty much his right-hand man here. And it's really good because now I get to take what I've learned from Vivint and all these other companies and take them to, my own individual spot. So we do knocking. We've got a setter closer model. And then we do alarms too as well. So it's been pretty cool. And so where Knockstar comes into play is my partner, Taylor McCarthy. He was the #1 guy at Solar City. So I don't know if you remember Solar City. He was the top rep over there for a couple of years before they went out of business. And he managed over 900, almost to 1,000 sales reps at one time.
Wow.
Making $1 million a year. And he has been like the #1 best door-to-door sales trainer out there. He is phenomenal. I would get a bunch of my material from him. Right. And me and him over the years would compete. And so I'd always try to outsell him. He outsold me probably 8 out of 10 years. And I got him a couple of years. It was close there, but yeah, he's phenomenal. And so we've always wanted to work together, and we've always wanted a chance to, do something like this where we coach, because we've got a lot of really good value. And I came to a spot in my career where, I was very successful in my job, but my calling was to share my message. And so for me, I really wanted to share that message out there with a wider force, because I was very fortunate to grow up doing door-to-door and do it for 13 years. I've been doing it for 13 years now at a very high level.
That's amazing.
And I see a lot of kids coming into this space that don't have the same guidance and the mentorship that I had younger, because at Vivint, a lot of the top guys left, the guys that made Vivint what they were. Right. And I mean, there's still some of those guys left there, but the ones that I looked up to most, they left. And that was kind of my calling, that, hey, I learned enough, and it's time for me to go on and learn from a new mentor and kind of take my skills to a different avenue. And so what Vivint did so well is they put systems in place to sell, train, and recruit. And so for me, I got to learn firsthand what it took to do that for $1 billion company. And so I did it for 8-9 years, where I was, good friends with the owner. I got a chance to take his private jet. He bought me dinner in Vegas a couple times. I rode in his trophy truck. The guy's a billionaire, and Todd Peterson is like the OG of the Utah. He's like the king, #1 guy that started the Utah door-to-door space. He basically started a pest control company in '96 in a trailer. He borrowed money from his mom to buy. He took all his buddies. They lived in the trailer and sold pest for a summer. And then every year they just growed double, triple, until the point now where it's a $5-6 billion company. And Todd is has been one of the most he's like the #1 most successful guy I know in my life. And I'm so thankful I got to learn from him. And so he is like the king of Utah door-to-door. He literally paved the path for everybody to do it. Like, if it wasn't for Todd, I wouldn't be in where I'm at today. He literally paved the path for everybody. And so, for me to have not only a chance to work with him, but to learn and help him and the company grow, I was very thankful for it. And so, that's one of the best things about, working for a company like that is you get to learn. And so I was very good at making friends, and I got to, hobnob with the top guys there. And, I worked my way to the top where I got the respect. And that's the cool part about Vivint and door to door is, no one can just show up into our industry and start making a name for themselves without doing the work. I did the work first. I sacrificed everything. I gave my entire life. My entire 20s was on the doors. I lived in a suitcase, everything. I did not have a family. I didn't have a wife. I had a couple girlfriends here and there, but I literally sacrificed everything for the doors. And that's why I'm in a position today to be able to coach and mentor people, because I gave up everything. I've lost it all. I've made it all. I've made millions, and I've lost it all. Yeah. And so I've learned all the hard lessons of door to door. And so that's why I'm in a position to train guys, and where I feel comfortable, I can give them value so that they can learn from my mistakes and hopefully avoid some of the ones that I did. And that's why it comes from such a genuine place, because I'm coming to coach these guys from having experience. And that's probably what you've noticed too these days, is there's a lot of people that have never done what they've talked about. And that's what's so cool about, Sam, and he's done it too as well. I was right there with him. I was competing with Sam too as well. And it's like, he's legit. There's some guys out there that are not. And that's what's great about door to door, is they will expose you. Yeah. And so that's what's cool. Like, dude, put me in a neighborhood, give me a clipboard, I'll show you what's up. And so that's why, the brand is growing so fast, because people have followed along the journey. They've seen the sacrifices. I've given up everything. And so, I put it.
That's amazing. Cause like what you've done is, number one, that I think most people miss, is putting in the hard work and understanding that this is a full commitment. Like, there's no half stepping or halfway into the space. Like, if you want to be successful in door to door, you have to just be convinced that this is what you're going to do and just go all out. There's no halfway. And then two, you had a mentor, right? You had someone that you sought out and wanted to make personal with and mingle with and abstract their knowledge to help you to get to the next spot, to the next place, to level up. And I think that's where most young people, they got their eye on the prize. They're just too focused on the money, but they're not focusing on the mechanics, the training, and the knowledge and the skill set that is required to get to that spot. So the fact that you're here and you have the knowledge and the mentorship, and you've done the work, and now you're willing to share your secrets and to help others, and that's amazing. I love that, and I can't wait to see the platform and get on it myself, because we're doing the same thing. We have a sales process, we have a recruiting process, and we have a training process. It's the same thing that we're doing at Savage, and it's very important. It's like we train. It's every day training, hours a day training. And we understand that it's a huge part of the process to be successful. So, man, that's super awesome that you guys are doing that. So how can people find you, and where can they find you at, and where can they get on, Knockstars University, and where are they gonna go buy all your stuff at, man? Because you're one that everybody needs to know about.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. And a lot of guys wonder if this is like an act, or if I'm always this wild. Like, to give you kind of the context, and you guys can follow me at Danny_Pessy, DANNY_PESSY. Do not misspell my last name, or you will end up on a very different website.
Oh shit! Oh, that's funny.
So I was actually a theater major in college, and I was a stand-up and improv comedian for 6-7 years. And so I actually did door to door to pay for my college so I can go do shows. And so
cool.
I essentially have taken my act on the road. And so now, instead of performing at comedy clubs, I perform at people's doors. And if they like my performance, I get a commission. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's been fun, and I transformed my dream. My dream was to entertain people, and even though it didn't come to fruition exactly how I wanted it,
it's still there. Because you got, and that's what it takes. You got to have a personality, because people, I mean, alarm's an alarm. Satellite, solar, roof's a roof. People are really not buying that. They're buying the personality, right? And you've nailed that. You know, you got everywhere you go, you have that presence. People, you stand out, and like that's what it takes to be successful in this space. You can't be average or the norm. You just gotta be noticed and stand out, and sometimes you have to recreate a personality to make that be. And you've done a great job of that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, man. And that's what a lot of people think they have to change who they are. And the reason why I felt I've been fulfilled in this is because I've just taken who I am and I've just gotten comfortable with it.
Yeah,
This
this
who
is
I
who
am.
he
You're
is.
gonna like it or hate it. And so, I've earned that right, and I've put the time in on the doors, and that's why the community is very, very um, open or closed to people that are coming in. Is you have to do the work, and people have seen me in the trenches for years. They've seen the sacrifices that I've made, and that's why with the Knockstar and stuff, the company and the brand has been taking off pretty well, is because people know I paid the price, and they can learn from the stuff that I've went through. And Taylor, like, I've got some good stuff, but I'm telling you, like,
Yeah.
Taylor is, I look up to him. And there's a few guys that I'll say that are better than me at door to door. Taylor is one of them. And he's like a really good friend of mine. And I went to his wedding in Peru, and,
Cool.
to see him grow, like, he's going to be like an amazing trainer, like Tom Hopkins, or a sales coach. Like,
Oh heck yeah.
he's gonna
There's some people don't know who Tom Hopkins are. That's the old school right there. They're more know the Grant Cardone and
those guys, the
yeah.
young generation.
Yeah, the Tom Hopkins or Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, like those are my dudes. Like those are part of my arsenal. Those are to me, I see them like they're part of my army, right? Because you read their books and you consume their knowledge, you'll be able to you're collapsing time and like into a book, which will take if it takes you even a month to read it. It's like me, I'm a slow reader, right? But dude, a month to get a decade worth of knowledge, like most people just don't understand. I don't know why. It's like a book costs like $15, and there's so much value in there. So Taylor, what's Taylor's stuff? Where can we find Taylor at so people can follow him too? Because since he's so close to you and your business, definitely I think people need to know him as well. Because most of most of the people that I know are in the roofing game. I just started solar this year in our business, and I love it. I'm just so like fascinated by the culture that solar is, and seeing how it's a little bit more white collar, I think, than the roofing. Like the roofing guys, a little bit roughneck, tougher, rougher on the edges, and being able to see the difference. But it's the same thing. We're selling door to door, but being able to try to morph my company with the two is interesting for me, because it's like we could do this, man. And I'm just so fascinated with the solar, the alarm, and the pest control space, because I've got to meet a lot of amazing people, including you, this past 6 months, and we're excited for it. So where can they find your man at?
Yeah, so it's Taylor McSolar, McSolar. So
Taylor McSolar, love it.
Yeah. So he's my partner, and he actually did roofing last year, and he wanted to go try roofing. So he went out and sold 117 roofs in 10 days.
Oh, it's so totally possible.
Insane. So he went to this neighborhood that got destroyed a couple years back, and it was almost before the 3-year period is done. So he literally was just tearing it up out there. And so he did 117 signed contracts in 10 days, and just he went viral. Some customer tried to attack him, and they got it on camera.
Oh, that's awesome.
Called. I think it went on World Star. So it was
that's super cool. Heck yeah, we're gonna have to find that and add that link to the video. That's super cool. Yeah, and like in a storm environment, dude, it's pretty easy. We signed up last year. We had a huge storm. We signed up 250 contracts in 2 weeks. So
tell my people what that is. So there is no roofing in the Utah. So Utah does not have roofing companies.
Yeah,
so
I know. When I go down there, I see all the messed up roofs. I'm like, dude, we got to get in Utah, because the roofing, for some reason, the roofing space has kind of gravitated to the hail, because the insurance companies are going to buy hail damage to the property. So we have a unique business model. We're a licensed public adjuster. So I have a public adjusting firm, and we also have a restoration company, which is Savage, and then now we have the solar division. So when you have an event like hail or wind or tornado, lightning, right? Those are covered perils that most homeowners have coverage for, but the space focuses on the hail. So you'll see the big dogs. They're gonna go to Texas. They're gonna go to Denver. They're gonna go. Chicago's a real saturated market. Florida with the hurricanes, right? So they're gravitating to those easy, sign up areas. But when I was in Utah, I was like, dude, there's still wind down there. Like that's a covered peril for insurance, and there's so many roofs down there that have wind. I was like, every time I go down, I'm just like, dude, we gotta go to Utah and just sign up 100 roofs down here when we come to pay for our trips, because we're going.
Insurance will pay for that.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. As long as they have a policy that most policies will have that covered peril for wind and hail on there, right? But the insurance companies, they're getting smart. They're altering policies without homeowners really understanding the vastness of it, and they're trying to save them like $30, $40 a month, but they're taking the most important perils that are on there. When I say peril, like lightning's a peril, wind is a peril, hail is a peril, you have a flood, that's a peril. Those are things that can happen that are acts of God that will cause you to have a loss to your property, right? So that's why you have insurance. Most people, the insurance industry has done a phenomenal job of making homeowners feel like they're on their side and feeling guilty about submitting claims, right? They have big businesses and they do $1 billion in commercial ads every year, and we all seen them and heard them. You're in good hands, and but when it comes down to paying out, it's a business. They want to save money, they want to minimize their loss. So that's why with us having in Illinois is a unique state where we can actually be licensed adjusters and contractors and work together and it not be a conflict of interest, which I think it should be like that in all states, because we're making sure that the insurance company is paying the proper amount for our clients. So like we're not trying to abstract any money from them but what they owe, which is their deductible, which is most of the part a fair rate. It's like $1,000. So you're getting a $15,000 roof for $1,000. And most homeowners don't understand that the insurance company looks at it every single time. It's an algorithm and it's a math numbers game for them. How can I minimize this particular loss, especially in a catastrophic event when you have tens of thousands of homes in one isolated area that get affected? They're like, dude, we're about to lose millions of dollars here. So think about if they save, couple grand on each house, they can save a lot of money. So the problem that we have in the space is, you have the other contractors that are willing to do the work for that price. So it messes up the space. It messes up the numbers. When you have contractors that are just doing for the insurance proceeds, and then you have, the smaller guy or just side job guy, or maybe not, maybe they're a big company, but that's just their model, right? They're just going to take what they can from the insurance and the rest is on the homeowner. So we're a little bit different. I'm told the homeowner, like, I don't want your money. I want your insurance company's money. Let's get them. I make them out to be the bad guy, which most of the time they are. So that's a little bit background on Savage, but man, this is about you though. I love everything that I've seen from you guys. I can't wait to dive more into your guys' content and get on your program. We've already ordered the Knockstar cards. Can't wait to get those in. If anybody that's learning to get over their objections on the door, highly suggest you get my man Danny Pessy's cards. Phenomenal. I can't wait to get my hands on him. Look at him. He's got them. I'm too busy. I'm not interested, right? I know you're not interested. That's why I'm here. Right?
This is out of our
This
budget.
is out of our budget. So you're going to have the objection and then you're going to have the rebuttal, right? That's freaking amazing.
And why these are so important is I spent a lot of time doing them. If you use these and memorize them, I've literally made hundreds of thousands of dollars on them and using this material. because you're not paying for the deck, you're paying for the material that you get. And I spent a lot of time doing it. There's going to be more additions.
So is there like 52 cards, like a deck of cards?
Nope.
No.
20.
20.
So 20 decks, so 20 per deck. And so we're going to be adding more later. We're going to do industry specific. And so we're going to target that. And so
you should double it up as a playing card too. So you're playing poker and you can still study your craft. And then your old lady calls you like, babe, what do you mean? I'm at work, I'm studying, I'm going over objections right now. I don't know, it's worth a shot.
That might be a good idea. So what I was saying is, like, with sales, so many guys ask me, hey Danny, what's your pitch, what's this, what's that, what are you doing? And I mean, honestly, a lot of it comes down to when the customer's paying attention, they hit you with an objection. Objections are good. That means they're paying attention to you and they're testing you with throwing you something. And depending on how you handle that rebuttal is going to be a clear indicator on, number one, how the customer is going to respect you and take you seriously. Number two, they're seeing if you know what you're talking about. And number three, they're going to test your conviction. So if you start stuttering and don't know what to say, it's like, dude, you're going to get rocked. You can have the best pitch in the world, but if you don't handle yourself professionally when you're communicating with customers by handling their objections the right way, not only the right way, but you have to be able to overcome objections in multiple different avenues. So what these are going to do is they're not only going to help give you some more tools, but if you're driving out to turf or you've got people in your office sitting around waiting for a meeting to start, either they're going to be on their phone looking at memes, or they can be on their phone or on the knock card studying.
Yeah.
So if you're a manager or regional, it's like, dude, these are going to help you guys out a ton. And so that's why I've been really excited to introduce these to the marketplace. And so, they've obviously done really, really well. And our first pre-order sold out in 48 hours. I think we've had over 200 orders in the first 48 hours for the official launch. And so,
nice.
Yeah, they're
awesome.
Definitely going to be selling out pretty soon. So
and
that's all organic. I
think so many new reps, they focus on their pitch, right? Like, I gotta get the right pitch, but really, you just show up to the door with some energy and you get the people just to, if you can capture their attention in the first 6 to 10 seconds, and then they're gonna get that objection. It's really, if you can handle that objection better, and in your brain, if you could just like crystallize all that no's and know how to bring them back to the pitch, or like why you're there, I think it just shows a better salesman, right? But it takes work, right? You have to work and practice and go over those objections again and again and again. That way, when they come up, you know right away to pull from your arsenal your rebuttal, right? And it's super important. I love that you've actually put thought into it to make something, to bring value to the space for everybody. And that's why I wanted to bring you on, because I seen that and I was like, this dude has value to offer people. People need to know who you are and what you have to offer to help, because you're helping people. And that's what I'm about. I want to help people. I want to help my clients. I want to help my team. I want to help other people's grow. And you're doing that. And I commend you for that. Thank you for coming up with something so new. I wish I would have thought of it, dude. I'm like, dude, that's so smart. I love it, but we're gonna come out with something too. Just wait.
Baby.
But yeah, man, I love it. I love what you're doing in the space. Don't stop. Keep it coming. Let us know when we can jump on board. We're so ready to get on some Knockstar U.
Now we do. This is very quiet news, but April 10th or April 8th to the 10th, we're having a big event in Texas. Nice. So it's going to be limited seating, obviously, due to COVID, but we are going to be having an in-person event. We're finalizing everything here shortly, and so we did our first cabin retreat in Utah right after DDDCon.
Oh yeah, dude! I wish I would have known about that. I would have so stayed for that, dude.
It was super small, super intimate. We had about 40 guys, and one of the companies that we've been consulting for, heavily Simple Solar.
Awesome group of dudes. Love Simple. They're awesome.
Dude. And we worked closely with Mo and his crew.
Yeah, shout out to Mo Fallon. He's a beast, dude. That dude definitely loves the way he's from 0 to 28 mil in a year. How can you not notice that? That guy's doing something right. But that's because of you, right?
What No,
Not all you,
not
but
gonna be much, 'cause
something, a little bit.
here, here's where he did well, because we've had a lot of people coming through our consulting, and I think we've consulted for over 130 people, and so
Mhm.
what we're starting to find is it's so much. We've got probably the best material out there. It's just who takes it and changes what they're doing and applies it. So many people are stuck in their ways. They get new material, but they
Yeah,
don't change.
right.
Those guys took what we told them, changed and adjusted some of their techniques when they're presenting to a customer, and they got the results. So one of our guys, Donnie, he just sold 30 solar deals in a month, and he's been very coachable. And a lot of these guys that have come through, the ones that do the best are the ones that are willing to put their egos down,
Hmm.
get the new feedback, and try something new. Even though they're scared, they try something new, they get the better results.
So what did
And that's
Donnie
one thing
do
about
specifically that made him convert 30 deals? So it's pretty much one a day. That's amazing.
yeah,
That's including
and
on the weekend. That's
yeah,
pretty
he's
freaking
crushed. So we the big thing that we helped out Simple Solar is we pushed them to go to new markets. They were selling a lot down in Orange County and San
Mhm.
Diego. We had them go on a blitz model, so they started getting huge production out of the LA and into some of these smaller cities. And so when they
Gotcha.
got into some of the smaller cities, they saw a huge peak in production. And then I let them into some secret turf, and they absolutely just crushed it. And so that's when you start seeing it. And then when you start crushing it, you start getting bigger paychecks, the confidence goes up, the
Yeah.
culture starts being built, the momentum goes, and then they start going further. And so, there's a lot of different things that we did to help, but it's number one, the fact that Mo himself is so coachable that he's willing to get input from outside, from people that he knows he could learn from, and is willing not to just think he's got knows it all. He's willing to get help and apply it. And that's one thing that's been really, nice to see, is he's constantly getting help, and he spent a lot of money. He's
Yeah.
paid a lot of money, and people are like, "Oh, it's that much?" It's like, yeah, he
Yeah.
spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on consulting, but his company's making hundreds and hundreds, millions of dollars. So it's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I don't want to pay to get better," but it's like, okay, don't. And then Mo Fall is just going to outsell your guys and recruit them. So it's like, that's the
Yeah.
thing. It's like, either
Like,
you're not going to train them or someone else will. It's like,
yeah, it's like the opportunity is always going to be there. It's just like who's going to get it, who's going to take it, right? Who's going to take that
yep,
opportunity, and it's going to go to the ones that are investing in themselves, and investing in their company. And if you're not investing in yourself, you're just not confident that your company is there to do good. Me, I'm all in. Like I'll put every single penny to grow my company, and I till this day I still take a paycheck from my company. Right, every penny goes back into it. So it's all about.
no,
Yeah, I get a regular. I just get. I probably make the least amount of money in my company. I'm right there at the bottom. So I'm that humble, and I believe in what we're doing that much because I understand it's gonna cost us money to grow, to scale, to get the training, to get the recruiting, and everything where it needs to be. And we're in 2 markets right now, and we're in the next couple months. We're trying to get to the 3rd market, and I have this momentum, and I understand in order to do that, it takes cash flow. So that's why I understand, and it takes cash flow, training, mentorship, all of the above, right? And you got to believe in what you're selling, right? Without that conviction, it's really nothing. That's the confidence. You have the confidence, you can do anything you want. But my man, thank you so much, man. It's been a pleasure jamming with you, dude. Like, I can't wait to get some more one-on-one time with you when we get out there. One more time for all my guys to know where to find you at. Instagram. What's your Instagram? What is the best place? Instagram, Facebook. What is it?
Instagram. I'm maxed out on friends on Facebook.
Uh,
Instagram is Danny_Pessy, Pessy. Excuse me, Pessy, and Knockstar University and Taylor McSolar.
all
So
right, brother.
we're always dropping content, free nugs, free value. Like, dude, we love it, bro. We just love door to door. It's changed our lives, and we're just coming from such an abundant place. We're happy to give back to the community, and I see you're doing the same thing, and I
Yeah,
look forward
brother.
to networking with you too. And so,
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. For those of you that don't know, go find us, Savage Grind, on everything: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. I think we even got a TikTok now, huh? I don't know. We'll figure it out. But my man, thank you so much. I love you all. And like I always say, Don't be average. Go be savage today. Love y'all. Thank you for spending time with us. Deuces.
Boom.